time for customs and a Ruby video. As you saw in the little intro thing, Ruby's leaking a little bit, and 2 of the 3 leaks I don't think are, well, I know one of them is not major yet, and the other one I do believe, the coolant leak, I think is just the fact that the cap is bad, so it can't hold pressure, so it's just pushing pressure out the overflow tube and it's pouring on the ground. And honestly, it's not even coolant. That is a engine flush product to try to clean out the inside of Ruby's block. So that's not a big deal. And then the transmission fluid leaking is the lines were just kind of put together very hastily by somebody, not me. And so when I took the radiator out, I just looped the transmission lines together, and I connected the radiator cooling, the trans lines together, just so that they wouldn't be leaking everywhere. That didn't work. They leaked everywhere anyway. But that drip is actually coming out of the radiator, not out of the transmission. So once I get those lines repaired for the trans cooler, it won't be an issue. The big one though is the oil leak. It's dripping out from behind the oil pan, and it only leaks when the engine's running, which makes me think that my front seal on my timing cover is very bad, and I should have done that before I put all of the rest of the stuff onto the engine bay. I should have just done the seals. But I know the valve cover's cracked and leaking, and the oil pan gasket is kind of squished out. So I have a new valve cover gasket, I have new timing cover gasket and seal, and I've got a new oil pan gasket. So I'm just going to go through here really quickly and replace those components, put a new valve cover on here. I think the steel one I have is going to work for this. I'm hoping. I may have to tap a couple holes in the back of the pan, of the block that are already there, just not used, to put the other valve cover on. But I had to do that on Rusty's engine as well, not a big deal. So, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this valve cover, see if my other valve cover works. If not, I do have another plastic valve cover off of Rusty that is in better condition than this one, even though I don't want to run plastic. I'd rather run steel. But quick videos, hopefully, of just getting these up. Everybody's seen people change gaskets before. It's nothing special, just trying to get some of the leaking to a minimum. As crazy as it sounds, that's it. 2 bolts are really all that hold this. Oh no, take that back. There's one in front. Yeah, so there's 4 bolts. Kind of curious to see how bad this is. Okay. Well, this is pretty gross. Smells kind of fuely too. It's got a little bit of fuel in it. Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully get this cleaned out and get some better oil in here. Well, not hopefully. We're going to put some better oil in here. It feels tight. Everything looks good as far as that goes. Cork gasket was kind of doing its job. I just had a lot of built up sludge on the top end here. Hopefully we'll get some fresh oil in here, run it a little while, and clean out a whole bunch of this garbage. It is thick with old residue. Yeah, it's very fuely. If this was smell-o-vision, yeah, it just smells like gasoline in here. And I'd say it's because I'm right next to the carburetor, but it got way stronger when I pulled the valve cover off.
And I'm waiting for my tank and my card.
How's it going?
It's gross.
Gross.
It's gross.
Grody.
There's a lot of buildup in there. It's okay. It's got really thin oil too, a lot of gas in the oil. So it's good at doing all this, yep.
Do you mind getting the leaf springs out
I can get them out.
tonight?
Yeah.
At some point?
I'll get them out.
The cardboard makes, like, stinks when I get in at the end of the day. Or
I
not
do.
yet.
I do.
You does?
I does.
Yum.
Yeah.
Yum, 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 yum.
Oh, wasn't even okay. Okie dokie. See what comes out of here. Yeah, it's running kind of thin. There's still some viscosity in there, but it's thin. For cold oil, though, that's still very thin cold oil. Four bolts that hold the valve cover on, and 700 to hold the oil pan on. I got most of the bolts out. There's, I think, 2 left under the starter, and there's 1 left under this passenger side engine mount that I can't reach right now. As far as the smaller bolts, and like I said, the 4 corners have, I think these are 7/16. What's these? Yeah, these are all 7/16, and I do believe the corner ones are all 1/2 inch. But I'm going to have to get the starter out of the way. I noticed there's a drip of oil in the starter too, but I'm wondering if that came down from the top. But anyway, besides the point. I do believe I'm going to have to remove this engine mount to get the oil pan off because it kind of covers it. And I'm also missing a bolt in this engine mount. Maybe this coming Sunday, if the weather's good. By then I can have the valve cover done, and I can have the radiator back out and have the front of the engine exposed, and I have timing cover off and everything. So it would just be literally lift that part of the engine, pull the oil pan down, clean it, new gasket, new seal, new gasket, and then throw it all back together. And it would only probably be 3 or 4 hours of total work at that point. So if I can get myself to that point, that'd be fantastic, and have this thing way more sealed up than it is right now. So I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes because it's now getting late and the mosquitoes are out. So I'm going to call it a night, and we'll see you probably tomorrow after work. day 2 in this project, and I just got home from work and I forgot to grab the camera when I was kind of excited to get into this thing again. Obviously the radiator's out, and I kind of flushed it after I was running that coolant flush through it. There's a lot of crud in it. Hopefully it'll clean it out, but radiator's out. Got the pulley off here. So a few more bolts here and we'll be able to get the, I think it's just this bracket. Yeah, these 2 bolts. Like this whole bracket's have to come off. Looks like the alternator's have to come out of the bracket to, yeah, get this out of here. Not a big deal. With all this space to work on, it's kind of nice. I'm hoping I can break these free. Oh, that was easy enough. And just get the pulley off. I'm hoping. One thing I was taught long ago is that you never use chrome sockets on an impact unless you don't have an impact socket, in which case chrome's going to be just fine. Just fine. I'm really hoping this pulls. Last time I had to do one of these on Rusty's engine, it ended up having to cut the harmonic balancer off. It did not want to go. Oh, there's something's moving. Oh, it's moving, I think. Or I'm compressing the engine. No, it's moving away. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 that's awesome. Sweet. Harmonic balancer removed. That seals garbage. That's why it was leaking. We're losing light quickly, so let's see what we can get done really quick here. I don't even know if this is going to come off with the fact that the oil pan is still stuck to it from the bottom. So I may have to wait till the oil pan is off. So many different sizes of bolt. The easiest way for me to remember where they all go is to do the cardboard template thing. It works really well. One more bolt. That one might be broken off, which would be awesome. That would not be cool if that's a broken off bolt. There we go. Yeah, I'll take those to work. Clean up all the silicone and stuff on those. I highly doubt this is going to remove just because the oil pan, that looks, yeah, that is a snapped off bolt, I do believe. That's awesome. Hopefully there's something left of it. So right there is a snapped off bolt. Now once this timing cover comes off, there might be enough to grab onto, or I might be able to do a thing where you weld a nut to it and get it off. But all the rest of the bolts, and those came out really easy, so I don't know why that one snapped off. Nothing was really difficult. Let me see. Yeah, you can see this has just been pouring fluid off of it. You know, and down here, yeah, this whole thing is just a gooey mess. So actually, I'm not even going to worry about pulling it tonight. So there's where we are. Tonight we have it like that. I can't get the oil pan out because of that engine mount. So tomorrow I will get the starter out of the way, pull that engine mount, and bring the engine hoist out here. and just kind of pull up on the engine enough to get that engine mount out. And I can pull the last few bolts out of the oil pan and have all of this disassembled. Maybe get it cleaned up for reassembly, which would be awesome. So that's the plan. We'll see you tomorrow. Day 3 on this project, and I kind of got a little bit done as soon as I got home from work here, and then before I turned the camera on. And I'm sure I'm doing something really wrong now that I may regret, but I'm not quite sure how else to do this other than to get the engine hoist out, and that's buried in the back of the garage. And once the pan is down, I can put the engine mount back in. That's should be right there. But I've got this jack stand sitting on the torque converter, holding up half of the engine. Half the engine is still on this engine mount. But if I lift any further back, the engine just tips forward. Like, it doesn't pick up, it just tips down. So this is the furthest back I can go and still keep the front of the engine up. So that's what I have to do. Again, once I get, there's 4 bolts holding the pan on. Once the pan's off, I can put the engine mount back in to support it, that side of the block, and we'll be fine. So, yeah, let me just get to this. I'm sure I'm breaking something. Not sure how glued on this oil pan is going to be. These bolts were not very tight. Which means I probably could have just I could just knock this thing down. But either way, oh man. To get the timing cover off, this has got to come down. I'm gonna try to start at the front. Let's see if I can peel it from the front. Goes. One little pan, there you go. Ouch. Yeah, that side to side slop, front to back is fine. Or up and down is fine. Yeah, I can't wiggle any of these either way. Okay, well, that looks all good. I mean, it's dirty. Let's see if I can get you guys in here to see any of this a little bit better. Here's what we're looking at. Everything looks, it doesn't look awful on the bottom side here. I think this seal still has to come out. I think I get a replacement for that guy. Not quite sure how that comes out of there. I'm hoping I get a replacement for that because that's kind of cruddy. I'm wondering if I'm in here, I should do the rear main. I'm not going to do it. I'll do it later. It's not leaking. If it's leaking, it's not leaking too bad down the rear main. This is probably just from me messing around with it, this little bit of leak here. So I'm not going to worry about rear main right now. Cam looks... I think okay, that's some weird discoloration on it, but again, I'm not worried about it right now. I'm not rebuilding Ruby's engine right now. Literally just fixing leaks. Whoa, fuel pump, there we go. Everything else looks pretty good. I said there's nothing in the pickup screen. Pickup screen looks clean. We'll look in the pan here in a second. Very fuely oil. Very fuely oil. It just runs. Unless someone put the wrong oil in here, but it smells fuely. Oh, that's thick. That's thick. Oh man, that's super thick.
Grody.
Oh man.
Ugh.
Well, it's not why I'm in here, but it is now. Look how thin that oil is, though.
Yeah.
Oil is super thin. Oh yeah, we might as well get it. There's no metal in it though. There's no metal. There's like no sparkle in it, which is really good. It's just a sludge. Remember how long this thing has been?
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah. Oh, it's just gonna peel off. That was not difficult at all. Awesome. Eek. That is not good. I'm gonna have to get a timing cover kit. Or timing chain. There's actually I've got one. I'm gonna probably put the one. No, I already got the one mounted on Rusty. I can't steal that from him now. I've got some other things I have to accomplish this evening that's going to, prohibit me from finishing working on Ruby tonight, but it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to take, right there, I'm going to take the pan and the timing cover into work. And we don't have a parts cleaner, but we have a big tote that we use there that we have a cleaning solution in. And it's just going to be easier than cleaning them here. So I'm going to clean them all out at work, bring them back tomorrow all nice and clean, and be able to clean the gasket surfaces on the engine, which most of them are done. And then the other big thing is this one broken off bolt, which there's actually enough of it that I might be able to get a pair of pliers on. But the other option is what I'll probably end up doing is, before I ruin it, there's threads exposed, and I will probably try to thread a nut onto there and weld the nut on, and then see if I can back it out. And I might see if I can track down a new timing set tomorrow. It's tight on this side, and it could be much worse, but I'll check the one I have at work. I don't think Rusty's is this bad, but it could be. I mean, there has to be some play in them. There's no way this is going to skip a tooth, but I'll decide tomorrow. We'll see what I'll do. With that, and the sun setting again on another night, I'm going to call it that. I'm going to do some other odds and ends around the house tonight, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. We're pretty close to reassembly, honestly. It's going to be clean parts, which I'm going to do tomorrow. And then if I can get that bolt out, and depending on what I do with the timing chain, it'll just be reassemble it. So it's not going to be that difficult to do. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. It is Monday, July 4th, and we're still working on this project, which is fine. Oil pan is cleaned up and painted. The timing cover is cleaned up and painted. Actually, I stole Rusty's timing cover because Ruby's timing cover had a bolt broken off in it from the oil pan up. So I know I've got a third timing cover floating around somewhere. So I'll find that one and clean that one up and paint that one for Rusty. So I know a lot of parts from Rusty are going to Ruby, but he'll be okay with it. Pretty much cleaned up all the gasket surface on this for the timing cover. But if you remember, I have one broken off bolt, and I'm going to try a technique that I've heard works, where I'm going to put a nut on the broken off part of the bolt and try to weld it on there, and then see if I can back the bolt out. The heat alone is supposed to help break it free, so I'm hoping that'll work, but we're going to give that a shot. Here is the bolt we're going to try to get out, right here. I have plenty of thread to get on. So, and then I put cardboard down to try to keep any kind of weld spatter or flash from going down to whatever, getting caught on the chain or whatever. So, this might catch on fire, but whatever, we'll fix that later. But yeah, I'm going to try to get a little bit of a weld inside here and see if we can back this bolt out. I have the battery disconnected. The alternator's disconnected. I don't think it would cause a problem, but you never know. Go right there with the ground. Turn the weld on. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Well, there's a glob on there. And the cardboard's on fire. And it's out. Let's see if we can get a socket on there now. Oh, the bolt is unthreading, or I'm going to snap it off again. We're turning, but the nut's turning, the threads are not. I may have just welded the nut and not the bolt, which I have a feeling what happened. Well, no, I welded the end of it because it broke off a little bit more. Well, I'm going to try that again and see what happens. Second attempt. This time I protruded the bolt out of the nut a little bit more. And now we'll see what we get. Aha. It's moving. You feel it change. That's amazing. It's the first time I've used that technique, and it actually worked. There we are. Bolt is out. So, if you have the ability to do that, I think the technique for that is protrude the bolt, or what's left of the bolt, out past the nut. That way, when you're trying to weld it on the inside edge, you're not just getting nut, you're actually getting part of the bolt as well. But that is out. I'm probably going to chase these threads really quick and all these 1/4-20s, and then we can get ready to put the timing cover back on. I'm well aware that a tap is not a chase, so I know I'm doing this wrong, but I don't think I only have a chase for one size, and that's for spark plug sizes. So yes, taps are for cutting, chases are for cleaning. In this case, this tap is doing some cleaning. They're really not that bad, honestly, but there's silicone stuck in them. Lots of silicone buildup in all those holes. So that's all out. It'll spray all those holes out with some brake cleaner now. And we can put the timing cover on. I was editing this episode for the past few days, and it just seemed like it was taking forever to edit. And then I went back and looked, and there were 77 clips to edit. And that was a lot. And I finally finished putting together the episode last night, and it was slightly over an hour long, and I said no one wants to see me for that long, so I apologize, but this episode is going to be cut into 2 parts. I'm going to split it, as you saw, at the final of disassembly, and then next week you'll get the reassembly. They're both going to be about 30 minutes long and way more watchable. So, thank you for watching this long of a video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope everybody has a great week.